Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's BU Alumni Career Webinar, Next Level Networking, How BU Connects. My name's Jeff Murphy. I'm a member of the Career Programs team in the Office of Alumni Relations. Today's webinar is offered to our 352,000 alumni around the globe, and of course, all of our current students. Throughout your career, Boston University is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. And we aim to do that by providing everybody with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities. I know that we have people joining us today from some very far away places. Thank you to all of you for being here. We value your participation in this and every program that we offer. A couple housekeeping notes. Today's presentation is going to be recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the BU Alumni and Friends website, which you can find at www.bu.edu/alumni. I will be your speaker for the day, and I'm going to pause a couple points during my presentation to take your questions, but you're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation using the Q&A function on Zoom. You can also, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. So again, if you're new to Zoom, you're going to want to use your cursor or on your mobile device, use your finger actually to tap on Q&A or chat. Go ahead and type in your question at any time. And I'm going to do my best to go through kind of a lot of content today, but we will get to hopefully as many of your questions. And if I need to, I can stick around a little bit at the end to make sure that we get to everybody's burning questions about BU Connects and how to build your network. That's what we're here to talk about today. BU Connects, our state-of-the-art platform, enabling alumni, students, faculty, and staff to connect like never before. And we know that this is important. That's why you are all here. But one of the things that you might not know is that there's a giant mismatch in the career world in terms of how people are looking for jobs. A lot of you might have heard this statistic that 70 to 80% of jobs are never really actually published, and they're found through networking. And I've looked high and low to find a scientific study that proves that, but that's actually, I think, kind of hard to find. And this is the closest I've ever come to somebody that actually wanted to quote that. There's a interview that I heard on NPR a long time ago, that I found that was on NPR a long time ago, I should say, where this person from Career Horizons mentions that, you know, people are spending 70 to 80% of their time looking for jobs online, when in fact, what they should be doing is spending 70 to 80% of their time getting out there and meeting with people, because the vast majority of hiring is happening because you're connected to somebody who's connected to somebody who's connected to somebody. And I'll pause here to let you all know, my slide deck has a lot of links in it to things like this interview that I'm mentioning. So in addition to sending you the recording of today's presentation, I'll also be sending you a slide deck, so you can link to some of the resources that I'm talking about. You don't have to worry about jotting some of these things down. You'll have plenty of chance to go and click on them and find them later. So, BU Connects is where I think that we can help kind of address this difference in getting out there and meeting people and finding those connections that might be able to help you find that next great job or find that next great internship if you're a student. And I think the easiest way of summing it up is BU Connects combines all these great resources and tools into one connected platform, a news feed to discuss things with peers and make some connections, a directory that allows you to find people to connect with and find people that are willing to help you, and a groups place where you can connect with people that are in your industry or share your interests. And those of you who are smart might be saying to yourselves, well, wait a minute, Jeff, isn't that what LinkedIn does? And I will say to you, yes, you're right. But I actually think that Boston University can do it better. And I also think there's something important that I think this sums up really well. I follow a guy on Instagram named Matt Shirley, and his entire account is nothing but creating funny graphs. And I think a lot of people can identify with this. And this is basically what he's saying about LinkedIn, is that you think LinkedIn is going to be this amazing resource of networking and job opportunities and helping, finding helpful things. But in reality, it's, LinkedIn trying to get you to upgrade to the paid version and applying to jobs that you'll never hear back from. And that's where I think BU can do it better. I think a lot of it, quite frankly, has to do with the groups feature on BU Connects that allows us to have this platform within a platform that helps you to connect with people amongst all of the identities that you might have had within the university community. Just as Boston University is made up of 17 schools and colleges and 800 something majors all within one university. You can skip from identity to identity and connect with people. If you were an athlete and you were also interested in law school, you were also in a fraternity, the vision is that one day you'll be able to connect with all of these groups seamlessly under one platform. The other thing that I think distinguishes BU Connects from something like LinkedIn is our mentoring feature, and we will dive into this in detail later. Certainly, many of you are probably here because you're looking for a new job, and BU Connects offers some really great job search functionality that is, again, better than what you're going to find on LinkedIn, and already has a built-in integration with some of the things that the university is already doing, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. So again, this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you a live guided tour of BU Connects. We'll take a look at it. I'm going to show you all of the key features that you need to know. But again, I will tell you, even though I'm going to talk about it, the best thing that you can do if you haven't already is sign up and spend some time messing around in BU Connects on your own to discover how these things work. I promise you, you're not going to break it by diving in and playing around a little bit on your own. And I think a lot of us understand, particularly people in my generation, the best way you're going to learn how to use this is by getting in there and doing it yourself. I could talk until I'm blue in the face, but until you're actually doing it yourself, you might not really understand all the ways this is going to help you in making some connections and advancing your career. So once we talk about the how, the where and the what of BU Connects, we'll talk a little bit about the how. I'll give you some of my best advice and my tips on once you've identified some people that you'd like to connect with, how you should go about doing that. And then I just want to spend a few minutes talking about the role that you already play in helping us achieve the vision that I think we all share for creating this powerful BU network that can be make the difference in helping people achieve the kind of success that I think we all hope and aspire for the BU community. So with that, I think what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my slides, and then we'll go ahead and dive into BU Connects. Forgive me for 1 second while I pause to switch my screens. Okay. Do we have any questions so far before I dive into this? Again, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A. All right. I know I have a tendency to talk fairly quickly, and again, I think we've got quite a bit to get through, so forgive me. But like I said, at any point, I'll try to. I've marked off places on my notes that I want to stop for questions, so feel free to go ahead and throw them out at any point. So we are right now, hopefully you can see my screen. You'll let me know if you can't. We are on buconnects.com. Very easy to remember. I will send you a follow-up email after this with a link taking you right to it. Go ahead and take a look. It, I think, does a pretty good job of telling you exactly what this is for and giving you sort of a sneak peek of some of the things that you can see once you've joined. It gives you an idea of what the idea, tells you what this is all about. When you are coming for the first time, you are going to click on the Get Started button. After you have created your profile, from then on out, you're going to sign in the upper right-hand corner. Before we do that, well, let me say this. Trying to think of if there's a different way I want to attack this from the way I've written here in my notes. Okay. All right, let's do this. So when you come for the first time, click on Get Started, and you will notice that there are several different ways that you can create your profile for the first time. I will tell you that I think the pro tip is, whenever possible, to sign in using your LinkedIn profile. We have a custom integration with LinkedIn that will make it that much easier and faster for you. Actually, Mark, I'm glad that you asked me this question, because this was something what I was just thinking about whether or not I wanted to talk about. Mark's asking, is this a new platform or a big upgrade to what has already existed? Either way, it is now particularly useful in the age of COVID and other measures of restriction. Thank you, Mark. Some of you who are potentially older alumni might remember that we used to offer something called the Career Advisory Network. And for a long, long time, we had a network of volunteers who had raised their hand and said that they were willing to help others with resume reviews and networking and internships and job shadowing. And yes, this is a complete upgrade and replacement from the Career Advisory Network. Over about, I think somewhere in the Career Advisory Network existed before most people were using computers. It used to be that back in the day, you would go to the alumni office and we had a binder where you could flip through pages of people who you could call and ask them for their assistance. And over the years, we had amassed a list of a database of about 8,000 volunteers around the globe who said that they were willing to help, which was fantastic. And so, Mark, I'm really excited. In a few minutes, I'll show you exactly how many volunteers we have now. And so we launched BU Connects it was coincidence. This is something we've been working on for a long time. It was not in response to COVID, but we're very thankful we were able to launch this in 2020. And so it's existed for just about a year now. And we're delighted with how it's going so far. We'll talk more about that. Thank you for asking. My suggestion to sign in and create your profile with LinkedIn is because it will allow you to take all of the work and the information that you've already put on your LinkedIn profile, including your past job history, and copy that automatically all over into your LinkedIn, your BU Connects profile, your profile picture, your job experience, your some of the other information. You can copy it right over. But certainly you can sign in with Facebook. You can, if you remember your BU ID number, you can go ahead and sign in using that, or you can use any email address you want. That, quite frankly, is actually a key point. You want to think about the email address that you want to receive notifications on for BU Connects, and maybe think about signing in with that email address. And then it will walk you through a process of completing your profile. There is some required information we will need from you. Now, once you've done this, it will ask you to prove that you are the owner of the email address that you are using. It will send you an email to that. You've been through this experience, I'm sure, with several other online identities that you've created. It will ask you to confirm your identity by clicking on a link in an email that it sends you. Once you've done that, it will either automatically approve you, because we will be matching this with a backend database we already have on you on file. So if we already have that information on you, on your alumni profile in our behind the scenes database, you'll get approved and automatically have access. If you give us information that is different from what we have on file for you, so this happens frequently with people who've changed their name. If your name is James and you enter your name as Jim, if you've gotten married and changed your last name, you will go into an approval queue where we have to, again, we want to make sure this is only for BU. So there might be a delay between the time that you request your profile and we can actually confirm that you are who you say you are. So keep an eye on your email address, because we might have to reply to you and say, we need a little bit more detail to confirm your identity. Please write back and let us know this, or this. Depending on the time of year or how many other people have requested access at the same time, it could be several days before we're able to confirm your identity. So the faster you can get back to us with the information that we need from you in order to confirm your identity. If you've put in that you live in Barcelona, Spain, and we think that you live in Alston, we're going to need you to tell us what your old address was, those kinds of things. So just know that either you could get right in, or there could be a process where you go into an approval queue. So I'm already a member, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in using the process that you've already, or excuse me, sorry, let me do this. I knew this was going to happen. Every time I've signed in for a webinar, Okay, forgive me, I have to sign out of this for a second. When I log in for a webinar, it then wants me to log in using a different account. Every single time. Okay, bear with me for 1 second. While I'm fumbling with technology, any questions so far that I can try to answer while I try to do two things at once? Here we go. Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. Okay. All right. So please keep in mind, I am showing you the view that I see, and I have platform administrator privileges. So there are a couple tiny things that I see that are different from what you see. They're not ultra significant, but they just are little minor things that might look a little bit different on your view. So first things first, you'll navigate across the platform using this menu on the left-hand side. And it basically just highlights all of what I would call the key features of the platform. And we're gonna go through these one by one, and I will call from my kid's daycare. That could, that'll be interesting. Allison will definitely get to your question. Thank you for asking. I'm going to go through these in a not straightforward order. I'm going to go through the ones that I think are the most simple to explain, and then we'll dive into the ones that I think are the most meaty later, so that we can dive into those a little bit in more detail. So the center of the platform here is a customized news feed. Now that's, again, very similar to other social media experiences or online media experiences that you might be used to. What's interesting about BU Connects is that it is showing me, well, this is also similar. It's showing me a news feed based on the things that I am interested in, based on my profile or groups that I am a part of. And because I am a BU Connects super user and I am a member of every single group on the platform, it's showing me posts from every single group. So you're going to see some things repeated that you might not have this experience. I should also point out that it is feeding me jobs that are posted to the platform based on my professional interests and career goals. And so that's a neat feature. It's also going to show me events that have been posted to the platform, which is exciting. One of the things that's also happening that's been great is that alumni are really taking to this discussion feed to just share flat out when their company is hiring, which is something that I'm really excited about and really encourage. On the right-hand side of the screen are just some helpful news items and links to important resources showing you people who've recently joined. These are called widgets. These are kind of highlighted resources that we want to make sure that you know about. There is a mobile application that we've recently been making sure that people know about. Very easy to download from Android. Actually, a little bit, Apple makes things a little bit more challenging for iPhone. And so you'll, if you're interested in using the app on your iPhone, you might want to follow the directions. It works pretty well, I have to say. This, I think, is really useful. We basically what I'm doing today, you will always have access to in smaller bite-sized pieces, a video guide to get started, the little tutorials on each of the features. If you ever wanted to access that, it's always here on the right-hand side. Here's our recommendations for once you join the platform. Here are 6 things that you might consider doing. Oh, and basically, you know, one of the things I encourage folks to do is once you get here, introduce yourself in the discussion feed. Let people know what you're here for and what you can offer, certainly. And then I always encourage folks, you know, this is a career community. And one thing that I know that happens on LinkedIn that I think people don't want to see is just being constantly spammed with people's personal ads. And so that's something that's very explicitly prohibited in our community guidelines and something that we take very seriously. So you actually are required to say that you've reviewed these when you create your profile, and they're always here on the right-hand side. And I would encourage you all to make sure you review those and take them seriously. And then some other resources that we point out for folks to make sure that they know about them. So one of the first things I would also suggest that you do when you join BU Connects for the first time, we don't require you to fully complete your profile when you sign up for the first time. We want to make that a fairly easy process. And so there's only some of the things that we require you to fill out when you sign up for the first time. As you can see here, we really want people, once they get inside, to complete their profile. So you'll do that by going up here in the right-hand corner. The first thing that I would recommend that people do, and again, if you didn't sign in with LinkedIn, it's pretty easy to do that by going to settings. So I would definitely suggest going to settings first. It gives you the opportunity to sync LinkedIn if you haven't already, if you're somebody who likes to connect things to your Facebook. If you want to connect your Google Calendar, that's a feature we can talk about, we'll talk about later. That's an option. The other things to do are, and this to me is crucial, setting up your notifications. You know, if somebody's trying to connect with you on BU Connects, I personally want to make sure that goes to my email. I want to be notified of that, or to my mobile device. I think it's great to have mobile notifications as well for things that I want to know about. You have full control over how the platform notifies you when there's certain kind of activities happening. So definitely make sure you customize and configure your notifications along with your privacy. You have full control over who can see what on your profile, how often people can contact you. This actually goes for mentoring as well. So make sure you walk through those settings when you're done. The other thing that you'll want to do is to finish completing your profile. This is incredibly important because it determines how people may or may not find you on the site. If you're the kind of person that does the absolute bare minimum, doesn't have a photo, doesn't fill out your current job information, is not willing to help others, is not willing to be a mentor, doesn't add the work that they've done, nobody's ever going to find you or try to connect with you. The other thing that I love about BU Connects is that we've added in some information about your BU experience that will allow you to find meaningful shared experiences with others, such as student organizations and activities that you did when you were on campus, personal interest, professional interest, the ways that you might connect with somebody outside of the classroom, outside of the specific job that you do now. The other thing is that, and we'll get into mentoring later, these are the types of things that will go into helping recommend mentoring connections for you later on, and suggested networking connections. We have a custom algorithm on the back end of BU Connects that will use all of these profile fields to potentially match you with like-minded or similarly interested people. So sharing favorite BU memories is a great thing to do. I met my wife working at Boston University and similar things like that. So the other thing in this sort of administrative corner up on the upper right-hand side, you always have access to messages. There's a direct messaging feature, again, much like other social media features that are platforms that you might be a part of. You can always access those here, as well as sort of a notifications reminder, a place to always see, oh, what was that? You know, I think somebody replied to a comment that I'd made earlier. So that's always in the upper right-hand corner as well. So, any questions? Okay, let's, yeah, we do have a couple questions. Let's go ahead and pause and take those for a second. So Allison is asking, are there any stats on how many, Allison, I'm gonna save your question for when we get to the directory. We'll definitely cover that. Karen's asking a question about jobs. We'll talk about jobs in a few minutes as well. Allison, different Allison, we'll talk about jobs in a minute. Any questions about sort of the discussion feed or setting up your profile, anything about that so far? Okay. Probably have to move a little bit faster. So forgive me if I start to really fly through this. Okay. All right, so we've already talked about the discussion feed. I don't think there's much more to say about that. This just came in, that's exciting. Volpe Center in Cambridge recruiting summer pathways program. Great. This is really starting to pick up speed. There are more and more people that are posting opportunities here, which is exciting to see. Okay, let's talk about jobs. This is pretty straightforward. The jobs section on BU Connects has a integration with the official university. We call it the career community. It's called BU Handshake. The simple way of thinking about it is it's the official Boston University jobs board, where hiring organizations are, Raphael, I see you posted a question about the profile. I will definitely answer that in just a second. Actually, it's a really good point that we will definitely talk about that, and I forgot to sort of outline that in my notes. Really good question, Raphael. Thank you. So the official university jobs board is posting open positions for internships, volunteer opportunities, full-time, part-time jobs, and all kinds of other employment opportunities that are posted specifically for Boston University, also for other universities and other organizations, but these are hiring organizations that have selected Boston University to post job postings. They are fed automatically into BU Connects as well. So the majority of jobs are from this university jobs board. Where you see here, it's saying found 624 job opportunities. Those are posted to Handshake, I believe, within the last month. So it's only showing recently posted jobs. There are many, many more on Handshake, but most of these, when you find them, will direct you to actually apply for them on Handshake. You will need to have a separate account to actually apply for these positions on Handshake. So this is just to get an idea of what has been posted. The other part of it, though, is that this is the easiest and quickest place for alumni, students, whoever, to quickly post a job if you are not an official recruiter. You can do it within seconds. So if your organization, if you are personally looking to hire somebody and want to hire from within the BU community, come to BU Connects, and you can do it just by clicking on the right-hand side here, post a job. Just by filling out a couple lines of text, information about the company, what the job is, those kinds of things. You can upload a picture if you want to, and then just filling out like you would on a Word document, a little bit of information. You can add a link to direct somebody to apply for the job, or somebody can just send you an email. You can upload a PDF if you like, and then click post. It'll go right into the jobs board. So I can see, I think there's an example. This one looks like it was one of those. This was posted by Candace. It probably took her 30 seconds to post this. You can add a date by which you're no longer accepting applications. So it's 2-in-1, right? Like the official, like, recruiters who are posting nonstop have jobs that are fed here, but this is an incredibly easy place to post a job in minutes as well. So Karen, your jobs are all posted by alumni, or do companies post here too? It's both. But again, the new thing for BU Connects is a super easy place for alumni who are not official recruiters to share a job quickly. The nice thing too that I encourage people to do is to post it in the jobs board, but then go back to the discussion feed and add something there and say, hey, you can find this. I just posted a job on the board. Go take a look. People are doing that on their own, and I think that's a good strategy. So Karen, hopefully that answered your question. Allison, are the job postings in the feed generated from LinkedIn, or are they specific to BU? They are not from LinkedIn. They are from that BU Handshake. So it's a BU source, not from outside, from LinkedIn or something like that. So, okay. We can definitely, if you've got other questions about, I should also just say, if you are a recruiter, or if you're interested in creating a long-term recruiting relationship with the university, there is this nice link here that would allow you to sign up as an official recruiter. Oh, but one last thing. These filters are a little bit funny. I'll be honest with you, they're not working that great. The best way to use the search, to search through the jobs that are posted, is by using the keyword search at the top. I'll be honest with you. The industry thing, it's just not working the way it's supposed to. This is an ongoing fix that we're trying to work with our software provider on fixing this. So just being totally honest, this is a great platform. It's not 100% perfect. I won't lie about that. Events is really, any last questions about jobs? Okay. Events is really straightforward. This is feeding in events that are on the alumni events calendar, plus any events that have been added to groups. You are seeing my event here today 4 times because I am a member of all the groups on the platform, and people have been adding it to their groups using the same picture. Back down when you start to see other events, these are the things that are being fed in from other places. Super straightforward. More times than not, it's going to take you from BU Connect to some other place to register for it. But this is yet another great place to come to see about other Boston University events that are happening, sometimes all over the world. Straightforward. We can talk about events later, I think. Just another source of information. Groups is, I think, super valuable. Also, an incredibly important part of our alumni relations strategy going forward around careers. We really want to help bring alumni and students together in terms of the industries that they work in, the regions that they are. And so we've got, I think, nearly 40 industry, regional, and special interest networking groups to choose from. Some of the individual schools and colleges are also creating groups to help facilitate student and alumni interactions. So some of those school and college groups you might find are automatically adding you. So when you join BU Connects, you might find that you're automatically being added to the Arts and Sciences Degrees in Action group. So these, again, create a platform and a platform experience where you're gonna find out that there's a separate feed and jobs board, events calendar, and mentoring opportunities just within COM or the Questrom network, again, for that platform with a platform experience to make it even easier to drill down and find the kind of people that you're looking to connect with, or to make it easier for our students to connect with the kind of alumni that they're looking to connect with. So, any questions? All right, let's talk about directory. This to me is the real meat of the platform. The first thing I have to say is, let's look at how incredibly easy it is to see how many people are willing to help. There's this flag right across everybody's profile in the directory showing that they are willing to help. And thank you, Raphael, for reminding me to point this out. On BU Connects, we actually make the difference between being willing to help and being willing to mentor. And what that means on BU Connects is willing to help. Think of that as being more of a short-term, almost a transactional relationship. You know, we drill into, I think, the heads of our students and even the heads of our alumni that in order to be successful, you have to have a mentor. That's not always what everybody's looking for. Sometimes it is more of a one-time meet for coffee, ask you for help navigating the ins and outs of your company, learn more about the inside workings of your company, but not that we're going to be best friends for forever. And to use a dating analogy, maybe we're going to date for a little while, but it doesn't mean we need to get married. So willing to help is very specifically more so transactional types of activity than being a mentor, which really does mean being in a longer term relationship. And if you look at anybody's profile who says that they're willing to help, you can actually see this. So, and when you look at your own, let's look at my profile as an example. By editing my profile, I can see that I can pick from the menu of the types of help that I can offer or the types of help I might be seeking. Or if I'm interested in offering mentoring, again, a longer relationship, or the seeking some mentoring, what I might be looking for. So that's the difference, Raphael, is, you know, offering help is, hey, I'm willing to look at your resume, whereas being a mentor is like, hey, I'm willing to be a long-term influence in your lifetime. We're going to talk more about mentoring in a second. But for right now, the directory is the place that you would go to find people and to search through people that are willing to help or not willing to help. And my advice to you about using the directory is, again, you've got a keyword search up here that you can search for anything. BU Connects also has these kind of built-in filters based on your class, your location, your industry. The mentoring thing just takes you to the mentoring section. We'll go there in a minute. Right here is also kind of interesting. You can have a list functionality or a map functionality. The map is really fun. Location in BU Connects is all based around Google location. So some people might just put in Boston. Other people might put in an address. Anecdotally, I will tell you that the majority of folks seem to be putting in a work address, which I think makes sense. And again, you have total, we don't actually ever publish anybody's street address, I don't think. But you have control over sharing whatever you want to in terms of your address. So please don't feel like we're ever, publishing your address without your permission. So, this is showing me around where my address is. There's, 5,725 people in my area, which certainly makes sense. But back to the list view, I just do want to point out for a second, as of today, we have 13,746 registered users, which to me is just mind-boggling that in a year's time we've had that many people join the platform. Again, we do have alumni, students, faculty, and staff that make up that community. But this is where it can get really fun. My advice to you, when you come in here, expand all of these search filters on the right-hand side. If you're interested in only searching through alumni, students, faculty, and staff, you have the ability to do that under affiliation. Get involved is where you could search by the different types of help that people are offering, or if you are looking for, let's say you want to flip the script and you are, you're retired and you want to spend your time offering help to people, you could actually do it this way. I think that's kind of a fun way to play the game. Again, we'll talk about mentoring more in a little bit. Because of the way that we customize the site, a lot of the really interesting, meaty stuff, search filters, are hidden under the Boston University section. So make sure that you expand that one. And then, of course, searching by somebody's work experience, make sure you expand that one. Allison, you asked a question about alumni in various industries being active on the site. This is where you would search for that. You're going to go in, search for the industry that you want. You can do this by keywords. So if you want to look up banking, you can start typing it and see what comes up. This is, you can search by keyword, but we might not exactly have that in there. So if you were looking for basket weaving, we don't have that. You're not able to search on that industry specifically. So you'll have to get creative with the search filters. So Allison, your question was, are there stats on how many alumni in various industries are active on the site? I do not have that printed, or I've not done any research on that specifically, but that's something you have access to at a moment's notice. If you're curious, you can just go in, put in the industry you're looking for, and then up in this top left-hand corner. So as an example, accounting, we'll select accounting. I can go up and see that there's 13,746, excuse me, now it's adjusted. 84 people come up under the industry of accounting. But again, that's including students who might have listed accounting as their industry. So you'd have to adjust for that. And then to clear that out, I can unclick that or always click on reset. So work experience, and then if you're somebody who is interested in going to grad school and wanted to look for somebody's other education, you could always do that as well. So again, expand all of these search filters on the right-hand side and start playing with different combinations to find the people that you're looking to connect with. And then specifically make sure that if you're looking for somebody who can help you, this is where you have to go in and click off. I'm looking for somebody who can who's willing to do an informational interview with me, or is willing to offer some job shadowing, or will make some introductions to connections or open some doors for me at my workplace. I think the best bet might be to start out with all of them selected and go from there. So the other thing also, is location. That being said, I might start out with a bigger search. If you're looking for some advice in the finance industry and you live in Boston, I mean, it might not hurt to find somebody who's willing to help you in Los Angeles. You never know what connections they might have. So Trying to think of other things I want to say about that. One of the things about the keyword search is if you put in banking, it could bring up somebody's previous position. If you were looking to make connections with somebody at State Street, it could bring up somebody who used to work at State Street but doesn't work there anymore. That can be good. So it never hurts to look at somebody's previous employers because chances are they still know people that work at State Street, even if they worked there 4 years ago. So play again, like any other search tool, it pays to start with a wider search and narrow down as you go. And again, using all of these filters in combination with the offering help under get involved, or particularly under mentoring, to me, that just offers a tremendous amount of power. That creates the difference between LinkedIn. This is a bunch of people that are warm calls instead of cold calls, and is the strategic competitive difference to why I would recommend using this instead of LinkedIn, or using this combined with LinkedIn. If you find somebody that you really are interested in connecting with on LinkedIn, and you can see that they're a BU alum, come to BU Connects and see if they're willing to help or willing to be a mentor, and that'll tell you something right off the top of your head. Okay, so we talked about the difference between willing to help and being a mentor, right? If you are looking for somebody for a longer term relationship, if you're looking for somebody who's really willing to take you under their wing, or if you yourself are interested in being a mentor, make sure you fill that out on your profile and completely fill out your profile. So if you click on mentoring, you will notice that the system is going, if you select searching for mentoring or offering mentoring on your profile, the system should show you suggested mentors or suggested mentees using the custom algorithm that we have on the site. And again, you need to complete your profile in order for this algorithm to actually suggest mentors or mentees for you. And the algorithm, the number one thing that we're using is professional interests, not what you studied at BU, not what your job is. The number one thing is your professional interests. And then it's job function, your age, where you live. And then education is actually kind of far down the list. What we know is that it's not unusual for half of BU alumni to find themselves working in an industry that might be different from what they studied. So the other neat thing about this page is that it'll sort of default to showing you mentors in your area, mentors by job function that you can, it's just kind of fun to go and like, if I were looking for a job in marketing, who is it showing me? If I were looking for mentors in these industries, who is it going to potentially match me with for these companies? But the other interesting thing is, again, finding your own mentor, which is just going to take you to the directory with the mentoring field already checked off. We're going to talk about what to say to these people when you're ready to connect with them. And again, if you just click on connect with Alexandra, it's just going to take me to her profile. And then I need to go from there to actually connect with her. It's not automatically going to send her a connection request. I have to go through there. So any questions up to this point? I don't see any that have come in. We've got just about 13 minutes. I think we're going to be able to get through all of this. So be thinking of your questions. Okay. Alexandra, if you're out there, if somebody sees this recording, I stumbled on you by accident. I didn't mean to pick on you. But thank you for being my example today. Okay. So you're always going to contact somebody on their individual profile page. It's actually the only way to communicate with somebody directly and privately outside of you can communicate with somebody in comments on the discussion feed, but to send somebody a private message, it's through their individual profile page here. Karen, what else do you need to do to connect with somebody once you are at their profile? It's not automatic. You're right. That's what we're actually going to talk about right now. Thank you. Okay, so it gives you a couple different options to do that. The first is this basic message. And if you click on that, it pops up with this thing. You could send them a message by typing it. And it also gives you the opportunity to attach an attachment to this message. I want to say right here, I'm stumbling into the advice section early. When you reach out to somebody for the first time, my advice would be, do not ever send somebody your resume unless they've asked you for it. Even if you are contacting them and saying, I see that you offer resume advice, don't even send them your resume at that time. I would say, I see that you're offering resume advice. Is now a good time? Would you mind if I sent you mine? That's my opinion. I'd take competing opinions on that. But anyway, so this is just a generic message. And my recommendation to you is that you do not use this form the first time you're reaching out to somebody. And I'll show you more about what I mean in a second. There are also these other options here. Video chat or schedule. So video chat, much like Zoom, there is a dedicated video chat tool built into BU Connects. And I will tell you, it actually works pretty well. I was skeptical. I was a little bit surprised. I've tested it out several times. It works very well. So you can actually have a video chat directly with somebody right through this platform. There's no need to use Zoom, Skype, anything else. You still can. And it's okay. I'm actually not going to click on this because I theoretically could send Alexandra a request for this. But basically, what would happen is it pulls up another message box that says, you are attempting the video chat with Alexandra. And then what it would do is actually send her an email saying, Jeff Murphy wants to video chat with you, and then asking her to accept it, and then taking her to BU Connects where the video screens would pop up. I would recommend always arranging for that in advance with somebody via other means than just like randomly video chatting somebody. And then lastly, the schedule function is pretty neat. I would never just send this to somebody, a meeting request, without actually having talked about it first. And again, there is a pretty neat like Google Calendar integration. I haven't personally used it. But I think if you're, a Google user, I always have trouble saying the word Google. I think it's a pretty neat integration for somebody who's already using a Google Calendar. So, but what I would suggest using when you're contacting somebody for the first time who's specifically offering help is to use one of these features, either request help, offer help if you're flipping the script and doing it the other way around, or request mentoring. And the reason why is because I want you to, of course, now we're seeing this like delay naturally. Oh boy, did we all just freeze? I hope you can still hear me. The reason why, and this, I should have backed up for a second. I want you to never ask somebody for something that they haven't specifically said on BU Connects that they're willing to offer. So Alexandra specifically outlines she's willing to answer industry specific questions, answer have a one-time career conversation, graduate school discussion, informational interviews, introduction to connections. So I'm not going to ask her for job shadowing. She's not currently offering that. So only ask people for what they've said that they can offer. And this is Murphy's Law in action, that the screen is freezing on me. I'm gonna stop my share. I'm gonna close out that window and see if we can reload this and try again. It's actually a great point. If that ever happens to you, if BU Connects is ever acting funny, unless if you've got unsaved work, I would recommend just kind of closing the browser window and trying to refresh it and see if you can get it to happen again. Right. All right, so let's pick one of my colleagues instead. All right. So I'm not worried about video chatting, Gabe. So I'm going to go ahead and click video chat. It brings up a direct message thing where it says start a video chat. Again, it lets you know a notification would be sent to Gabe asking him to video chat. So you can see what would happen if you actually did that. So again, don't ever ask somebody for something that, and Gabe's not offering assistance, so that's a bad example. Let's go back to somebody else who's offering help. Okay, so here we go. The reason why you want to use request help or request mentoring is because it actually requires you to pick the number one thing that you're asking for that person's help. Okay. You're not allowed to pick more than one. So you're forced to choose the one thing that you're really asking for that person's help with. So you'll click that one thing, and then it directs you to write a little bit more about yourself in the background, as well as what it is that you're asking for. And then you can send it to that person. And then when Gabe, this Gabe, receives that notification, it actually comes in as Jeff Murphy is asking you for your assistance on BU Connects. Instead of you have a message, it says this person is asking you for your help. So it's a little bit more, it's more information in that first message to help somebody understand, like, oh, that's right, I said I was willing to help and now I'm being asked for it, instead of like, oh, this is just some Joe Schmo, I don't know who sent me a message. I think it's more valuable that way. It's more relevant. It will remind somebody of the offer that they made, and now they're being asked for it. Mark, to be clear, the entirety of the site membership are BU alumni from whatever year. Actually, it's more than that. The BU Connects is made up of Boston University alumni and current students and faculty and staff. So it's the entire university community. And to me, helping our current students by giving them access to our alumni is one of the best things that we can do for them. And that's I think, one of the most important value propositions. So, okay, with that, I want to just jump back to my slide deck for a minute and share a couple tips, more tips about my advice for how to go about reaching out to these people. If you'll bear with me for a second, I'm going to go really quickly. Okay. We've got a great alum named Joshua Waldman who literally wrote the book Job Searching with Social Media for Dummies. He's got this model for how you should do this in a short way. One, lead with something in common, get to the point and fast, highlight why you're qualified, and tell them what you want. Couple of years ago now, I've got a great volunteer. His name's Mo Shanmugam. He's done a number of career webinars for us. He is really, really smart about these kinds of things. He did an entire 45-minute webinar just about writing these messages. And his model is very similar to Joshua's. And so in his example here, the something in common is we both went to BU. The point that, Joshua says is, you've got knowledge I'm hopeful to hear about. Why I'm qualified is I've got 6 years of agency experience. What I want is 20 minutes of your time. Now, what I would add to this is tugging at the heartstrings a little bit. And what BU Connects allows you to do is to say, I was so excited to find you on BU Connects, and I'm so thankful that you said you're willing to help other people. I think that's pretty powerful. Again, that's my opinion, and I'm not saying it's right. And I'd be happy to hear anybody else that there might be other people that take issue with that might say that's potentially dangerous if you catch somebody on the wrong day, that you are sort of throwing it back in somebody's face, saying like, oh, you say that you did this. But that's my advice. It would be to tug on those heartstrings a little bit and say, I'm really glad that there are alumni like you that are willing to help people like me, and thank you. And could I take you up on that offer? Okay. So again, the slide deck I'm going to send to you along with the recording, you'll get it from me tomorrow. You could watch Mo's wonderful discussion about how to craft these messages, and it's an art. A few more tips, and again, I'm happy to stick around for other questions. I know that we're running up against time here. My other advice for you is make it easy for them to help you. I think a lot of us have had that experience where somebody contacts us for networking purposes and asks us questions that that person could have found on their own with an easy Google search. Asked us questions about our company or about an open position that they could have found on their own by looking it up. So make sure that if you're going to contact somebody for help or advice, that you've done your homework beforehand by looking up the company. The other thing is, before you contact somebody, make sure that you read every single thing about them that they put on their BU Connects profile, and also go to their LinkedIn profile and see if there's any other information about them there. If you are contacting somebody because there's an open position at their company, make sure that you read as much information as you can about that company and about that position. And I wouldn't recommend doing this in the initial contact, but if at some point you get to, connecting with somebody about an open position, if you've already applied, right? And then you're going to connect with somebody and say, so if somebody says they're willing to open doors to the company, it's totally reasonable to go and say, hey, I applied to this company last week. I haven't heard anything. I see that you work there and that you're willing to open doors at your company. I'm wondering if you have any advice for me. Give them the name of the open position that you applied for. If there's a link to the position description, if there is a specific job number, give that to them as well. Make it easy for them. You do your homework. Don't make them do it for you. Okay, so one last thing. This is a big deal, right? I don't mean to make light of networking. There's a lot that goes into it. And we talk about this a lot, this career webinar series that today's talk is a part of. We spend a lot of time helping people learn how to do this. And all of our webinars, mostly all of our webinars are recorded so that people can go back and watch them later. I talked about Mo's. That's one of, I think, over 12 webinars that we've done over the years just about networking. They're all available to you on our website, in our on-demand library. So there's tons of good content and other BU experts it's available to you now. I encourage you to take a few minutes on your lunch break sometime, grab a sandwich and see which one of these might speak to you, because I think the more you can learn about the ups and downs of doing this, of reaching out to people that you haven't met before to try to get them to help you, is time well spent. And so that actually leads me to, if you give me another minute to get up on a soapbox for a second. I was actually thinking about this morning and I was awfully proud of myself, so forgive me. Networking to me is a little bit like learning how to cook, right? So there's a little bit of art and a little bit of science, and it doesn't hurt if you take some time at the beginning to study up on it a little bit and practice before you go out and do it for a crowd. And BU Connects is the perfect place for you to practice this a little bit. The people that are on BU Connects are real alumni. They're real people. They were in your shoes at one point, and in some cases not that long ago, and they're not looking for perfection. The reason why they are on BU Connects and have raised their hand and said that they're willing to help is because they understand. And they've been in your shoes, and they are motivated and excited to be in a place where they feel like they can contribute to a community. They feel like they can give back to Boston University, this place that was incredibly important to them in their lives, by helping out another alum, helping out a current student. That's what they're there for. And I want to put that challenge to you as well. Many of you are here today because you're looking for a new job. Many of you might have just graduated a year or two ago. You might be unemployed, you might be underemployed, you might be a barista at Starbucks and are still trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life? Listen, you still have valuable experiences to share. And I want to make sure that all of you know, I want you to sign up on BU Connects and offer your help to others. I want you to serve as a mentor. If you're an alum, you can be a mentor. If you're a student, you're not allowed to be a mentor yet, but you can still be willing to help. And so I want to make sure that you know you can all be part of building this community and creating this culture of BU being a place that's in it to help each other out and help everybody get a leg up. And I think we all know, with the last 2 years that we've had the pandemic and what it's done to the workplace, our students need every bit of help that they can and need it more than ever. So please, 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 if you haven't yet signed up for BU Connects, make sure that you do that when you create your profile. And if you are already on BU Connects, make sure that you go back and add that to your profile today. So that's everything from me. I am 2 minutes over. I appreciate you bearing with me while I step off my soapbox. But BU Connects has been amazing. I am very, very excited to see that each and every day there are more people on it. I have the ability to see the number of private messages that are being shared, and the number of people that are finding mentors, and the number of people that are posting jobs. And in 1 year, we've accomplished more than the Career Advisory Network ever did, and I don't even know how many years it existed. And I think about what BU Connects is going to be in 5 years and what it's going to do for the university, and you all can be a part of it. So Mark, I think we answered your question about the site membership. I'm glad to hear you say that you think it seems intuitive and self-explanatory. And again, I think the best thing that you can do is get in there and play around. I promise you're not going to break it. Karen, I'm glad to see that you're excited about BU Connects. Yes, networking is absolutely key to landing a new role, no doubt about that. I don't think I see any other questions. Juana, again, I am going to be recording this. It is being recorded, and I will be sharing it with everybody, along with a copy of the slide deck, so you can link to everything that I referenced in my talk today. Well, again, please go to buconnects.com and sign in and create your profile. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to contact me at the Alumni Relations Office or by email at jtmurphy@bu.edu. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to all of you who have donated to BU in the past. I really appreciate your support of the university. And I hope you all have a great day or a great evening wherever you might be. Take care.